You're watching Shaw Arts and Entertainment. I'm Curtis Anderson at the John G. Diefenbaker Airport today, joined by Canadian television icon here, right beside me, Jonathan Torrens. Just got off the plane from Chicago, back in Saskatoon for Read Saskatoon. They brought you back a second year in a row. Last year, you were just kind of the celebrity guest. This year, you're the poet?
I thought you were going to say this year I'm the icon.
The icon?
Because I've only officially been established as a Canadian icon in the last 6 months, and what I get with that is a card, and I get 10% off side dishes at participating Applebee's, and I get 2 complimentary upgrades to a large popcorn at participating theaters. So it actually has its privileges. You got your me's, you got your Rick Mercers, you got your that guy from Blue Murder. So it's pretty esteemed company.
But Read Saskatoon's bringing you back this week. You never actually answered my question. You're a poet this time?
I am the poet this time, yeah,
Okay.
and I wasn't aware of that fact.
What exactly does that do?
What that means is these are golf tournaments for literacy, and they're held in every province and indeed territory. One of the things that I do with the Zosky golf tournaments is go up to the northern parts of the country, which is a special privilege and honor. And because they raise money for literacy, they thought a long time ago it would be a good idea to have a poet who kind of rides around in a golf cart and captures the spirit of the day in rhyming couplet.
And of course, Read Saskatoon, something near and dear to your heart. How did you get involved in this organization?
I got involved for a couple of reasons, not the least of which was the first book that I ever read that resonated with me in any way whatsoever. Did I say this a year ago?
That's okay.
Because the reasons I got involved haven't changed, Curtis.
No, that's fine.
Neither have the questions, it turns out.
Oh, harsh. I'm bringing everyone else up to speed. I've got a lot of viewers since last year, okay? So this is new to a lot of people.
But also, it'd be weird if you asked me how I got involved and suddenly I had entirely different reasons.
Okay, I'm going to run last year's clip right now, so you don't have to answer yourself. Is that okay?
I've lost some weight, I think, since last year. I got involved because the first book that really resonated with me personally was a book called The Game of Our Lives, written by Peter Zosky, in which he spent a year traveling on the bus with the Edmonton Oilers and wrote about the experience. And it was the first book that I ever read that I thought, man, that was cool, and I got stuff in my head that I wouldn't have had if I didn't read it myself. So that was reason number one. Reason number two is Zosky, as a broadcaster, was an idol of mine. And reason number three is I really believe in the importance of literacy, and we have literacy challenges in our country. And I mentioned I have gone up north a lot to do these golf tournaments. Met a kid up north who was a class clown. He was showing off in a room full of 400 school kids, his peers. And I asked him in front of everybody, because if you can't beat the class clown, you might as well join him. I asked him why he likes to read. And he paused for a second and said, because by reading, I can go places I can't go in my room. And so that just kind of brought it into focus for me and made me realize that reading doesn't discriminate and everybody can read. There are libraries in every community, and it's just really important.
Well, I'm not going to ask you any more questions. I asked you last year now that you called me on it. Things may not have changed for you, Mr. Torrens, but things have been a lot different for me in a year. I now produce a show called Strip Down. It's a 1-hour acoustic music showcase. Bands from all over Saskatchewan come on, and we play music, talk. They play music, we talk. Yourself, former co-producer of a pretty successful 5-year running show, John of Vision, I wanted to pick your brain. Advice. I've only been doing it one season so far. It's crushing. The amount of work is crushing. What advice do you have for me?
The first advice I would give you as the former host of a ratings juggernaut on CBC, you haven't lived the rock and roll lifestyle until you've lived it Canadian public television youth style. Yeah. First of all, what you need to do is come up with some kind of award that the bands are vying for over the course of the season, and then insert the word coveted. If you say something is coveted, people will just assume it is. We started calling our thing the Coveted Golden Ear Award. And a funny thing happened, Curtis. It became coveted because we just kept repeating that word. So that's the first thing you need to do. Okay. The second thing you need to do is lower your standards in terms of broadcast quality. Because we were able to showcase a lot of bands who maybe didn't have TV tracks to perform them in such a way that they sounded great, or we didn't have enough time or resources or people to put the bands on live to air. And so lower your standards. Make a coveted award, lower your standards, and the rest will just write itself. By the way, have you ever made anything before in your life? Like popsicle stick lampshade or greeting cards for your mom on Mother's Day? Have you made anything? Yeah. What have you made?
Greeting cards for my mother out of popsicle sticks.
Okay, so say from the makers of greeting cards out of popsicle sticks comes Strip Down. And that instantly gives you credibility because it makes it sound like you've done something before. It doesn't matter if it was even in the same realm.
You've done so much, sir. Switch gears on you. You know, Trailer Park Boys, Street Sense, and Jono Vision. You do a lot of media. What's the question you're probably the sickest of answering the most? What's the most asked question for Jonathan Torrens?
Are you the super gay guy on Coronation Street?
See, now you're going back to stuff that happened last year. I steered away. You brought it back. Last year you got off the plane. What happened?
Honestly, okay. So last year I get off the plane and I walk into the Relay store there in the Diefenbaker Airport, and the first person I meet says, "I know who you are," and I say, "Yeah," and she says, "The guy from Coronation Street," and I say, "Which guy from Coronation Street?" And she goes, "You know, the super gay one."
How's Trailer Park Boys going? I haven't seen the last season because it's not out on DVD yet, but I'm a huge fan.
We just started production on a sequel to the Trailer Park movie.
Okay. Is the show wrapped up though?
We did a 1-hour special that's going to air on Showcase in December. But as far as seasons go, I think that might be it.
Okay.
Good news about this feature is that the first one was produced by Ivan Reitman, who did Ghostbusters and Old School and that. So it was kind of the wrestling match between our camp, what we wanted to do, which was crazy, fun trailer park movie, and his camp, which was their kind of whole feeling was, hey, great, you've had 6 years to test this show in Canada, just take the jokes that work best from that and let's do those. Plus, let's make it a romantic comedy. Plus, let's have boobs in it, which is not really what we've ever done on the show.
I'm sold.
And we didn't want to, it was hard because it had to satisfy the longtime viewers of the show, but also hopefully introduce a whole new audience to it. So it felt a bit to me like a greatest hits record. But this next one, Mike Clattenburg, the creator of the show, is in full control, and he's just Clattenburging it up. Know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I'm going to end it with this. Again, going back to how many interviews you do, weekly, daily, whatever. What's the one topic or question no one's ever asked you that you're always begging someone to ask you to talk about?
No one's ever asked me what it was like to be the back half of a horse in a two-person horse costume in a shopping center commercial for Bears Road Shopping Center in 1988.
What would your answer to that be?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, just like the end of this interview. Thank you so much, Mr. Torrens. It's been a blast. You going to be back next year for another Read Saskatoon extravaganza?
God willing. Curtis, can you do me a favor?
Absolutely.
Take care.
I will. Pan to something, Tara.